Thanks for tuning in to Barbershop Sports Talk.
2000 is when they won their first one against Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers. I want to know when you're watching this series going on in real time, or even when they make the comeback against the Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals. Are you thinking like this is the start of a dynasty right here?
You know, I think it had the potential to be one. But here's what's really surprising too is that they had some major egos on that team, and they had to try to somewhat come together to form a cohesive unit in order to do what they did. But overall, the thing is, which is really amazing, is that you had this big, huge man, Shaquille O'Neal, who was the showmanship. You know, he had the personality, he had everything. Then you got this young guy who was a loner. Kobe at that time was a loner. So you had two opposites, and you could see the beginning that they really couldn't gel off the court, and that carried on to on the court. Because as I said before, Kobe was a loner, and he was a real serious individual, and Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal was on, life of the party. You know what I mean? He had the personality, and that conflicted. And plus, Kobe was a hard worker, and Shaquille O'Neal relied so much on his athletic ability that he didn't put the work all the time in. But could I tell that they were going to be a dynasty? I think given the proper surrounding and the proper environment and the pieces that they put together, I wouldn't say a dynasty, but I thought they could probably at least win a couple of championships.
So let's go to 2001, and this was the year that the Sixers met the Lakers. So the Lakers already have one under their belt at this time. During this series, now they dominated. They went 15-1. At that point in time, that was the best record ever by a team in the postseason. The Golden State Warriors actually in 2017, I believe, kind of matched that. But besides that, those were only two teams to ever go 15-1. There's only two teams in the history of this game to ever go 15-1 through the whole bracket. At this point, are you saying the Lakers are a dynasty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
at that point, yes, without question, because you remember Kobe's still young, Shaquille's in his prime. They had the good pieces around them. I definitely think that they had the sky's the limit. I think they could have put together 3, 4, 5, even more if they all stood healthy. And absolutely. They had the great coach. They had the coaching. They had the bench, and then they had the superstars. I think they all at that time were starting to gel a little bit better. I definitely think that they could have won a few more championships if they stood together.
how shocked were you that AI and the Sixers got game one?
Not shocked at all. Because you know something? They came in as complete underdogs. And, sometimes people read the headlines and they stop believing them. And, Philadelphia really, all they had was Snow and AI for the most part. And Snow being the defensive player, and Allen Iverson called upon to do way more than he should have been required to do. He needed obviously a lot more support than what he had. But was it a surprise? No, not at all. Not the first game, not at all, because they were taken lightly. The Lakers took them lightly. So no, it wasn't a surprise at all. And of course, Philadelphia wanted to come in, making sure that they got their respect. So they came in. I think they came in ready and able to go 100%. Whereas I think the Lakers just overlooked them and didn't take that first game, very serious. But AI put on a show, and they knew they had to come correct, and they did.
So the next year is when they get their third championship. They beat the Nets. But there's a lot of controversy when they play the Sacramento Kings. And at one point, they were down in the series. It took Robert Horry, big shot. It took a lot of stuff. It took a very controversial Game 7 that I know a lot of Kings fans still talk about with all the free throws that the Lakers got. Did you actually, at any point, did you think the Kings were better than the Lakers?
That was like you said, Horry, man. If I mean, he was just at the right place at the right time. Sometimes it involves a little bit of luck. You know what I mean? But yeah, he was at the right place at the right time to hit that shot. That's why he's known as Mr. Clutch.
Big shot,
Uh,
Bob.
that was a great series. That was they were very lucky to win that one. That was a tough one. Uh, that was phenomenal. I think they got by with the skin of their teeth in that one. I think that put a good awakening to them during that series. But it definitely could have went the other way without question.
So then the Lakers go on. They beat the Nets, and at this point too, right? Because would you say when do you actually? I'll ask you this: when do you think Kobe became a top 5 player in the NBA?
When?
Yes. The first championship, 2000.
That's a very good question. I'm gonna probably say the second one.
Okay.
I think the second one. I would go with the second one.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Because now, you know what happens. Usually after you win your first one, that's when you start getting more notoriety. Although he was getting some, obviously. But when you get a ring under your belt and, y'all, instead of being, y'all now becoming the hunted. You know what I mean? So I think that's when people start giving his due. And I think he became a full-fledged top 5 player right around that time.
Okay, and you'd say for the first ring, he was probably top 10 to top 15?
I would put him in the top 10, top 15 range. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So, for sure, in 2002, when they're going up against the Kings, Kobe's a full-fledged top 5 player in the league. And at that point, you could argue he's top 3, right? Him, Duncan, and Shaq, right?
Yes. Oh, well, yeah. Kobe, yeah. Kobe was definitely phenomenal. And throughout the laurels of that, during that time, most of his work ethic. The man didn't take a break. The man didn't party, didn't really do anything. His life was basketball. The only thing is, at that time, he was a full-fledged top 3 player, but he also was a full-fledged loner, even during that time. And in fact, they had a little piece on this afternoon where they were talking with Robert Horry, and Robert Horry was talking about how he was thanking some of the other Laker players because when he played with Kobe, Kobe was not the way he was towards the end of his career. Kobe was a loner. Kobe was strictly
Business.
hardcore, and he really didn't show much of the other side of him. He was strictly basketball player, and that was it.
Yeah, which you could see how, him and Shaquille O'Neal don't get along because Kobe's so a matter of fact and Shaq is so lackadaisical about things. You could see how those would become the antithesis of one another. And both of them would be
Correct.
like Shaq's like, just chill, dude. What's wrong with you? Why are you talking to me and I'm better than you? And then Kobe's like, what is wrong with you? You fat, he's like, so to speak, you fat slob. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you working hard? Like, I could see how both of them would and they're both strong-willed personalities. Both of them would just be turned off to the idea of being around each other after a while.
It's very true what you're saying, but it's kind of similar to the Kyrie LeBron. You get 2 major egos. They both think they're better than the other, although we probably all know who the better one is. But I mean, in Kyrie's eyes, he thought he was just as good, if not better, and that they would never win that championship without him. But the Kobe Shaq thing goes beyond on the court. It goes off the court too. There were some situations that occurred that kind of put a little damper on their relationship as well. And I think that led to on the court. But as far as, like I said, Kobe worked, his work ethic was phenomenal. And Shaq, kind of rested on his laurels. Just figured he could, go down in the paint and just, strong arm everybody and bogart everybody. And then what was happening is he wanted Kobe and the Lakers to do more of a half-court set so he can get the ball a lot more. Where Kobe wanted to run and get on transition so he could do his thing. And instead of waiting for Shaq to get down the court because he was too heavy to keep moving and had no fluid in his game at all. And Shaquille said, look, I'm going down the post. I want the ball. I want to hear, I want to win. And Kobe said, no, you work hard, I give you the ball. You don't want to work, I'm not giving it to you. That caused friction, that caused problems, and the rest is history.